please.
Okay, so welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The motion for today's debate is: this House believes that New Age wellness culture has done more harm than good. Representing the proposition, we have team from Slovakia, and on the opposition, we have team from Ghana. From the proposition side, our speakers are: first speaker, Petra; second speaker, Samuel; third speaker, Matush; and the reply speaker, Petra. On the opposition side, our speakers are Edwin; second speaker is Seyram; third speaker, Isaac; and the reply speaker, Seyram. Each speaker will have 8 minutes to deliver their speech. The first and the last minute of each speech is considered protected time, during which points of information, POIs, may not be offered. The judge will signal the end of protected time at the 1 minute mark, after which POIs can be offered, and will signal the return to protected time at the 7 minute mark. At the 8 minute mark, they will give a double clap or a ding to signal the end of speech. Additionally, there will be 3 claps at dings at 8:15, and the judges will stop listening at 8:30. Best of luck to both teams, and I hand over the floor to our chair judge.
Welcome to this round. My name is Mattia. I will judge this debate. Alongside me are I will be keeping the old-fashioned way of clapping. If in the heat of debate I get distracted by writing down your arguments, if you get to do so, you may trust your chronometric devices. Other than that, I think we're good to go. I would like to hold the first proposition to make a go for this debate. Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, our scientists have been fighting for centuries to get high-quality research in medicine, healthcare, psychology, and science for us to regress with people believing that they will heal from their trauma by writing 3 positive things in their journal every day and relying on pretty stones in order to heal their stomach ache. We do not want to live in this world. So in my speech today, first off, stance and framing, then our first argument on the unhealthy narrative, and our second argument on disinformation. So first of all, what is our stance, right? What does this spread of New Age actually look like? So we believe that there is advice being spread. This is advice such as lighting a candle in order to open a third eye or something, in order to get spiritual awakening, right? Walking on the ground with bare feet, for example. These are gurus who tell you that if you want to be successful, you have to book a trip to Hawaii and run on lava stones in order for you to be happy and to be successful in your life, right? So it is saying that if you manifest enough and if you create enough vision boards, you might get exactly what you want. What we are telling you is that this is very harmful. We do not want this to spread through society. So in what means does this actually spread, right? This is, for example, through books, such as self-help books and books focused on self-improvement. Also, social media, for example, through TikToks and Reels and stuff, and also different celebrities who propagate these ideas. So, what is our alternative to this and how we picture our world? So just look at people who don't believe in this New Age advice. As we believe that the better wellness culture was like it was before. So meaning instead of this, we get the old wellness, meaning that if you are really tired from work, you get to take a break. If you are drained, or for example, if you're struggling in work, you try to find another job, not blaming yourself. So this means that if you're struggling with mental health, you don't rely on your amethyst crystal, but you actually try to seek out a therapist who can get you professional help and advice, which is actually based on science. Okay, so now to the first argument on the unhealthy narrative. New Age wellness culture creates a narrative that the problem isn't your environment. Rather, you did not do enough for your wellness in order to be happy, in order to be successful, in order not to have these problems in your life. So, if you had a fight with your mom, you don't see this as miscommunication if you believe in New Age. You see it as like a thing that your chakras didn't align on that day, right? And rather than talking it out, you like look for your masseuse or like look up a video on YouTube of your guru talking about disagreements and how you can fix this through like spiritual things, right? So, meaning you actually create a problem which is merely fiction, and you solve this by like not addressing the actual problem. You're just trying to solve this problem in your mind. So New Age also isn't as affordable. You have to buy books, for example. You have to pay for that life coach, for that guru, for those like trips, right? For massages, to buy those crystals or special like incense and teas and stuff. So we believe that this is exclusionary with like the other help and other things that you could have gotten on our side. So you cannot have like both, right? So basically, this is instead of going to a therapist on our side, you go and pay a guru in order to tell you what to do, and who has actually like no professional qualifications to actually give you advice on mental health because he never studied it himself, right? So now this was the individual impact. And if we want to further this impact onto society, this puts blame on the individual rather than the system. And that is a problem. Because on structural problems such as the toxic workplace culture, for example, or better accessible healthcare, we are not able to achieve this because you as an individual think that these issues can be solved individually. And if there's enough people and this narrative spreads through society on a substantial amount, this like hinders the progress of these like actually structural problems being solved. So now in our first argument, we focused on how people for who it like this doesn't work is actually harmful to them because they don't get the benefits. They are feeling like they were the ones who did like something wrong about it, right? It's not the structural problems actually addressing it. The problem is in you because you did what your life coach told you, but you weren't able to get the result that you wanted. So there must be something wrong with you specifically. We just can worsen those mental health problems. Or for example, if you have health issues that can also get worse or won't be solved on their side. Okay, so but on our second argument, we are going to show you how this, yes. Yeah, well, we believe that it applies in both cases, right? Because if you have your self-help book or self-improvement book, which tells you that you can be successful, but you have to do it yourself by being positive, by doing all of these things, by like being mindful and stuff, like we believe many of your problems won't actually be solved by this. Because this is not specifically like scientific advice, this is just something you can do to yourself. It's not going to be sufficient to, for example, solve anxiety by like calming down every morning for 20 minutes and like focusing on yourself, right? We believe that there's a lot of problems that should be solved in other ways. And yeah, so now to the second argument, which is on discrimination. And this focuses on those people for whom it still might work, for example, but we still believe that New Age like culture and medicine is wrong. So New Age wellness, a big part of this is not only that, like, not only unprovable, but and very abstract principles which cannot be like practically proved or disproved by science, but outright false lies, such as that, for example, those crystals can heal your illness, or that like some scent can help you solve issues with your bones or with your like stomach, right? We believe that this is outright false. People should not be believing into this, and spreading this narrative is just false. So why do people actually believe this? Often it is because they have some issues which have not been solved before, because they tried through like the current healthcare system, however that has not worked out for them. Or they started going to a therapist, but after like 3 sessions they still didn't see those results. So what actually happens is that these people are like cannot find that help, so they turn to these alternative measures. So what this looks like is that if you had a cold, for example, you had a specialty and suddenly it went away. Like a big part of this is the placebo effect, because your brain made it work, right? If you like feng shui your office and suddenly you feel more productive, it's not because your table is in a different space, it is because your brain made it work, because your brain adapted, because you believed into in something, right? So why this is actually bad? So there are issues which really require a professional, which I mentioned before. However, these people are going to choose alternative things which don't work, and instead of the real thing, you just get lies for which you pay and which is wrong. So the second problem with this is on the wider societal level, which means that which will be also more developed in our extension. But if there's more people who believe in this, for example, this looks like people who don't get vaccinated because they rely on this alternative medicine. They start focusing on this instead of actual healthcare, and there's just polarization. Please vote pro.
I would like to thank the speaker for the fine speech, and I call on the first opposition speaker to continue the debate. Here, here.
Can everyone hear me if I speak like this? Amazing. Panel. Every black medical student who has ever listened to Ben Carson will testify that the gap between feeling disadvantaged and advantaged can be a simple speech, talk, or meditation over text. We need to realize that the idea of role models and self-belief is what striving to improve is built upon, and this is more effective through the use of self-care and improvement. A couple of things within my speech. First off, responses, then some clarifications on framing, and finally, our argumentation. Panel, understand one thing clearly, that side proposition clearly spoils the debate when they try to frame our sides as people opting for, let's say, superstitious means of solving their problems, right? They talk about people buying incense and people walking through these mystical things and all that. We tell you that that isn't necessarily how the new age culture necessarily works. We tell you that on our side of the house, it works by pushing messages or pushing narratives that people can solve their own problems, not through abstract means like, let's say, buying candles or burning incense or anything, but then through the use of things like self-help literature, through narratives that push that people can become something in and of themselves, even if they do not necessarily have access to all of these things that they talk about, right? Now, a couple of things within their argumentation. Panel, understand one thing, that what they try to clarify is that on our side of the house, people do not necessarily get the impact that they are looking for because our procedures are, let's say, non-scientific, right? As in scientifically, it has been proven that it works on the other side of the house. Panel, this is inherently not true. Our side of the house is not a side that is completely void of any scientific proof. We tell you that all of the narratives that we push on our side, all of the self-help books that we have on our side of the house, we tell that all of these things can be backed by science and are backed by the experiences of the people who actually write these self-help books and all that, right? It isn't necessarily based on an abstract concept that people can opt into. We tell you that there's experience in what these individuals have been able to do, and that because this experience exists, it's it has a more likelihood for these things in and of themselves to work, right? Moving on to framing. Now, self-improvement in this case does not necessarily mean becoming the CEO you've dreamt of becoming since you were the age of 5. It's about learning about new things, taking steps forward, and growing to ensure sustainability. 2, self-help literature does not only feed into the minds of people, but to provide people options, mechanisms, and methods that have worked before and can work for these individuals. The second thing is, we don't support the uses of this narrative in the sense that it encourages people to engage in dubious acts such as cheating to improve themselves. This also means that these things aren't outright solutions that provide something for people to put their faith in, because faith in and of itself has this ability to propel people to move when we inculcate these things into people. Our cases in this debate then. Our first principal case on the individual's ability to self-actualize and how that self-actualization is important. But before I move on, I'll take a POI.
If that faith that you speak about eventually leads to
Okay, we tell you that that faith does not necessarily make you lose faith within science. Just because you are using tips from a self-help book does not mean that you forget the belief that, let's say, like the earth is round or anything. There are still scientific beliefs that are grounded within within things within society. Just because you're using self-help books or just because you're using like this narrative within society does not mean you forget like very fundamental things that science has proven over and over again. So back to our case on self-actualization. First off, we tell you that self-actualization is something that is very inherent and important to people in and of themselves. We tell you that people have a need to self-actualize within status quo, and this narrative helps these people to self-actualize. How do we do this? First is that this new age culture pushes the message that through self-improvement and development, these individuals can actually self-actualize. How? Because through things like self-help books that motivate people to do more. For example, if you're going to take Boso's book on how to disagree well, it outlines the struggles that he went through as a debater. He goes ahead to talk about the struggles and what people can inherently do to become better debaters. And we tell you that this is proven to work because he as an individual has tried these means and they work for him in the first place. This means that debaters who use these books and they put what he preaches into practice have a higher tendency of becoming successful speakers and can actually actualize. The impact of this is tied to the importance of self-actualization. That means that if when people self-actualize, they become inherently more productive because they love doing something that they want and they do it wholeheartedly in order to make the best of their ability. Secondly is the impact on the individual because he or she is doing something that they love and does not feel burdened or stressed out within their occupation that he or she is doing. This reduces first off the risk of things like fatigue and stress in their line of work. I'll take you later. Meaning their health in and of itself is not hampered. Furthermore, on how their health is not hampered within our narrative is that because we push things like self-care, like meditation and reading self-help books in order to better your health, we make it in a way that people can become productive as well as take care of their health and their well-being. We tell you that panel, insofar as we have shown you that self-actualization is the drive that keeps people going within their jobs. And while we've shown you that this narrative is what helps people to self-actualize and become better people in themselves, there isn't a reason to regret this one. Before I move on to my next argument, sure.
Okay, so what happens if this advice that you have read from these books doesn't actually apply to your life or it doesn't work, right? You've read about positivity, but it doesn't solve your actual issues.
Great. We tell you that isn't necessary. That those instances do exist where, let's say, self-help books do not necessarily get the impact that they are looking for. But we tell you that that is not where it ends. If you read one book and it doesn't work for you, there are other plausible alternatives that have the tendency to give you the same impact. Just because, let's say, one self-help book does not speak to your situation, it means there are other alternatives that can better aid you within your endeavor. Our second case then on how the harm of burnout that causes on individuals on their side. Now, within status quo, we tell you that there is an ingrained narrative within people that hard work equals success. Given that we live in an incredibly cutthroat world, in a highly competitive world, people try all that they can to work their hardest and become successful. Meaning that in chasing success, they forget to take care of themselves. For example, people take in lots of caffeine and energy drinks in order to become more productive, or let's say stay up longer hours and work, right? We tell you that this in and of itself causes a harm on an individual where his health is at stake and runs the risk of getting health complications. For example, high blood pressure, constant migraines, and recurrent fatigues because they are constantly stressing themselves in order to become successful. We tell you that this narrative helps to combat this by pushing for more self-care tips like meditation, relaxation, and etc. All to take away the burden of being stressed within their jobs. What then happens is that people then learn how to care for themselves as individuals, not to be so absorbed within their jobs. The delta between both sides is we push a narrative that makes people take care of themselves as well as being productive. On their side of the house, where they try to argue that, let's say, this narrative in and of itself does not help people gain this, we tell you that because of this narrative, that people need to work hard in order to gain success. People stress themselves on their side of the house, and things like health complications because of their work exist a lot more on their side. There is no point in being hardworking and being a hardworking and productive person if you are being limited by incessant health complications that will inherently hamper the productivity of yourself. To conclude, This new age culture has promoted a world where productivity, happiness, and health are in sync. As long as we prove that these impacts exist more within the narrative, the decision is a clear opposition ballot. Proudly, Team Ghana.
In the 1960s, people were waiting hours to get vaccinated. Now they believe crystals will protect them. In 1960s, chemotherapy was considered to be a miracle, something that will save thousands of lives. Now, people believe that the lemons, if they will eat them, will cure their cancer. I will firstly go over some reframing to react to their attempts to reframe, then I will go over rebuttals and then bring our extension about polarization and about the danger of this like alternative medicine and crystals. So firstly they said like we misdefined this motion, but we need to realize that this debate is not about any self-improvement. It's about the new wellness culture as it was defined. So this includes alternative medicine, not the serious medicine on our side, but those all are alternative like measures and alternative cures that are not really working. It includes healing crystals, and at least our side believes that they have no effect whatsoever, as well as meditation, that the vast majority of people can't really explain what that is. It includes mindfulness and, well, everything that was defined. And like, these are mostly clearly unscientific methods, and the side of opposition needs to stand behind the definition and defend them, instead of claiming that any attempts of self-improvement are automatically falling on their side. Furthermore, they said that like it can be to an extent mixed, so like we can have kind of something from both worlds, but later I will explain that like why if someone starts to believe in alternative medicine and all those crystals, they start to distrust the common medicine and the common sense. So firstly, to their argument about self-actualization, so how it helps more people and help them to become better people, not now. We disagree with these notions for several reasons. So we believe that this is substitute for real solutions of our world that would tackle the root causes of issues of these people. These people won't feel good due to these solutions. These people aren't happy. And when first alternative attempt to cure their issues fail them, then they think that they must try another, or they weren't dedicated enough, and they must buy more crystals, buy more of this walking on coal and whatnot. And this leads to them not addressing their issues and not being able to resolve them. And in our world, we are offering long-term solutions. They are not as easy. There are no gurus that will claim that you will cure your depression within 1 week. There are no gurus that will tell you that you can cure cancer overnight. But in long term, our solutions work. And this is important because the long-term impacts are crucial for us, and it's what should frame your ballot in this debate, as we help these people in long term. And this is not only about the medicine curing cancer. This, for example, concerns psychological being of a person. So if someone believes that just by writing happy memories into diary, they will cure their depressions, they are endangering themselves quite a lot, and they are not improving their conditions. They are not self-actualizing because their approaches do not work. Yes?
This question is based by saying that it is not about self-improvement. It is clearly indicating why you need to defend our self-improvement as well as what it claims on your side.
No. We don't need to defend the notion that no self-improvement is necessary. We need to defend the notion that the new wellness culture caused more harm than good. And your ways of self-improvement are those that we listed, those that don't work, and that's why we contest them. So now to my point about how this polarization worsens. Yes.
You claim that the mechanisms on our side do not work. You have only proof to show that the means that we use on our side have actually not worked in real world situations. Since we give you a case study, we will say what's engaged.
Okay, so if we should once again refute why their side doesn't work, it's because alternative medicine is not a real cure to the people's cancer or other diseases. It's because the healing crystals don't work, and walking on like a hot coal doesn't work either. And what we've pushed through the first speech is that like this delays the real solution of their problem. That's one option. Or it basically like persuades those people to like believe in all those stuff of alternative medicine, and that like basically it turns them into conspirators. And one last point to their argument, so like they on the one side claim that like they are increasing productivity even though they fail to mechanize, so like how believing in crystals or how alternative medicine increases productivity. But on the other hand, they talked about like the necessity to relax and whatnot, which contradicts themselves. So to our split about polarization, so what happened by this new age wellness is that like the common consensus of scientific matters that we've like researched for 100 years was distorted. These scientific discoveries established those common facts that no one like 50 years ago really contested vehemently. So like, for example, that vaccines are effective, or that like we need chemotherapy and other serious medical means for cancer treatment. But this was changed by introduction of wellness culture, because a significant share of population of many countries, especially those where this culture is prevalent, so for example, United States, the share of population that does not believe into this common base of facts increased a lot. And we can have a lot of great discussions and fruitful discussions about whether to implement mandatory vaccination or what's the best treatment of cancer if we have these discussions as matters of science and as something that has like one logical base of facts that scientists agreed upon. However, this is distorted horrendously on their side, because we cannot have a discussion that like whether healing crystals work. They don't. However, what happens is that, like, as I already mentioned, people substitute one for another. So like, if someone tries a healing crystal, there are two options. Firstly, the crystal somehow works. Works in like captions. It's a coincidence, but somehow either the placebo effects or like just happy coincidence makes it that like that person feels better, either psychologically or really. So this person starts to believing that like crystals are the solutions. They buy more crystals. There are plenty of vultures that are selling these crystals for hundreds of dollars, despite knowing or knowing that like they don't work, and they like become a member of this basically cult. And this means that like when they will have next health issue or psychological issue, they will not seek the solutions of the traditional medicine and of like certified psychologists or like doctors, but they will turn to healing crystals and alternative medicine, or some books that are like propagating these very like dubious methods of helping themselves. So like if we should have like reasonable discussions both on like high levels, so like in politics or like even like within the family, we need to have this common basis of facts, and this is what can like help to resolve crises such as COVID crisis, and this is what would get people vaccinated on our side if they would trust the common medicine, and this is what they say the distorts. And this has very like significant impacts, because while it might seem funny that like some people believe that like they will cure themselves with lemon, it actually led to thousands of deaths, because people refused to be treated by real doctors and real like experts, but instead they relied on the methods of their side, and they died. And these are not like exceptions. This is becoming rule on their side, and those are very heavy impacts. And also it contributes to the further polarization of society, as more and more people on their side would not believe in traditional medicine. Thank you.
Panel, if you would look closely enough, you'd realize that we're all playing a mind game. Our ideas of what we could be and what we could achieve are contingent on our mindsets and perception about our current situation in different circumstances. Two things then in this speech. First, I give you responses, and then I'll forward the rest of our substantive arguments. So, panel, what do we get out of side proposition? Notice how they completely spiral today's debate by making it look as though our side of the world supports certain spiritual and unhypothetical means of reaching a point of self-actualization. They spiral this debate by saying things like, on our side of the house, we use pretty songs to ease stomach ache. Like, panel, that is not enough of a justification to show that our side of the house cannot win today's debate, right? But they also wrongly characterize the debate, and we completely correct that on our side of the house, but they do not engage with our characterization in any way whatsoever, right? So also, panel, they bring to us the idea that people need to indulge in spiritual means on our side of the house, and that is not true, because we are not advocating for black magic or voodoo on our side of the house, right? We are advocating for things like self-improvement, ways for people to actively take steps in order to reach a point of self-actualization and to reach a point where they get better and better in every space they find themselves in. That is the world that we bring to you inside opposition, right? But panel, they also tell us that people would have to pay for these resources, and because of this is something that, because of this, these people would have to spend a lot of money. The trade-off is actually worth it, because at the end of the day, these people actually get things that would enable them to ensure that they are actually making progress. So we tell you that even if people have to pay for books, that is something that is worth it on our side of the house, and even on their side, people still pay for books, whether they are self-help books or not, right? But also, panel, there are arguments on how there's lack of better workspace environment and the lack of health, better health on our side of the house. We proved to you how there's better health care on our side, because people do not only overwork themselves or burn out at the end of the day, but they also ensure that they're taking steps to take care of their health, and we brought this to you in today's debate, right? But now moving on to our substantive arguments. So we tell you that the whole narrative has pushed the idea that people need to depend on other people in order to ensure their success. What has this looked like? Also knows that today's motion is retrospective, which means that we need to analyze the good that has happened within the society. So proposition cannot come and push the arguments of what could be or what could not be. They need to show us what harm the narrative has done in the status quo. They fail to do this completely. But panel, on our side of the house, this narrative has reduced the dependency that people have on others. How? It has completely shattered the idea that people need to depend on others in order to ensure that they reach a certain level of success or they reach a certain level of actualization. It has completely eradicated the idea that their success is contingent on somebody else, right? And at the end of the day, it has also pushed the idea that they need to actually get better, take steps, and apply it in order to make sure that at the end of the day, they are actually making steps in order to grow and develop. They tell us that self-help books create I'll take you later. They tell us that self-help books create the idea that, I can do it, and then they don't actually do it, right? Notice how self-help books have clear directives on how you can take steps in order to ensure that you actually make progress. And usually, in the vast majority of instances, these self-help books are based on scientific research. Take Atomic Habits by James Clear. It gives you scientific research, psychological research on how you can ensure that you are able to make the most of your time by ensuring that you put the best habits into place to ensure that you are actually making progress in life, right? But they tell us that there's no scientific evidence on our side. This example clearly disproves it. But they bring so many out of this world instances that people took lemons on our side of the house and died as a result. They need to give us case studies on where this happened and how this even happened in the first place. We believe that this is completely squirreling the debate and it's way too outrageous, right? But then what our side of the house does with this argument is that we push people to acknowledge and to believe that they're capable of making it and they're capable of actually putting steps in order to do so, right? But secondly, on our side ensures sustainability. In modern times, you notice that the world has become very, very competitive, and in order for people to sustain themselves, I'll take you later, in order for people to sustain themselves, they would need to constantly improve. What this narrative has done is that it has currently enforced, it has enforced in their minds the idea that I need to do X and Y and Z in order to improve so that I can actually make it in whatever area of my life I find myself in. That is what the narrative has done. It has also ensured that while they are in their pursuit for happiness, in their pursuit for self-actualization, they don't become completely burnt out. This is something that we brought to you on side opposition, and this is something they don't engage with. But before I move on, I'll take a PY.
Yeah, so don't you think that actually in order to succeed in society, which is based on codependency and working with other people, we should focus on collaboration rather than individual success of individuals? On our side panel, collaboration exists to a very large degree. Why is this possible? Because in order for people to
to help other people within the society or within the community to also self-actualize, they would also need to reach a point of self-actualization themselves, because the units of communities, the units of societies are individuals, and without individuals having the incentive to even want to get better, there's no possible way that they can help other people outside of their spaces to also get better, right? But panel, on how, back to how we ensure sustainability on our side. Take a lot of examples. We brought you Bosio, who is a WUDC champion, who has written a book that ensures that everybody has direct ways of how they can actually engage in debates, right? We bring to you Brian Tracy, who also has a book on how you can scientifically ensure that you make progress in life. We have Ben Carson, which we brought to you on our side of the house, but they have no case studies to show how their side of the house improves, right? But panel, also notice that usually it is not necessarily always becoming the best in your space. It's not necessarily owning the biggest tech company in the world that we propagate on our side, but just prioritizing the fact that people take these tiny steps and are fulfilled within themselves, because the narrative pushes the idea that once I'm able to achieve this, no matter how little, I'm still making progress, and this is steady progress that will ensure that I reach where I want to get to. That is something that side of the house cannot provide, because like this is what the narrative has done, and this does not in any way show that the narrative in itself is a harmful thing. That's panel, on to why we have better mental health on our side and why this is important. We prioritize mental health through things like meditation on our side, because through meditation, people are able to calm down and take away all their anxious thoughts, which would curtail their productivity. Because notice how when people are anxious, they actually are not able to maximize their efforts and are not actually able to put in the most into making sure that they do or have the best outputs, right? So for panel, on our side of the house, when you engage things like meditation, you enable people to calm down, relax, reflect, and then take away all of their anxious thoughts. What you also do with mental health on our side of the house is that you enable people to reflect on their life choices, reflect on their decisions, enable them to make the best decisions in every possible situation, ensure that they, at the end of the day, make the best outcomes, right? But panel, also notice how meditation on our side creates a lot of positivity, because people are able to engage with things that happen in their lives, the good things, and be grateful for those bad things, grateful for these good things, and not let the bad things overwhelm them. That is something that is ideal for mental health, especially since we live in a world where there are a lot of mental health issues within the world today, right? But why do we take on this debate? We win this debate because, one, we brought you the whole concept of self-actualization, why it is important, and why we should think about this within the debate. Because if people don't self-actualize, they will not be able to contribute meaningfully to society, and if they are not able to do so, they will then become a burden to society, which is something we have avoided through this narrative. We've also told you how, at the end of the day, there's less burnout, we have better mental health, we have general health, well-being, at the end of the day, and for all these reasons that we brought you into these debates, opposition will try.
I think the opposition will continue here.
Okay, so three things in this. Next, okay, is it okay like this? Nice. Should I wait or? Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. So first in the speech on what is actually like New Age wellness, then on the individual impact, and then on the societal impact. So first, what is New Age wellness? Because there seems to be disagreement on this. First, is New Age wellness about self-help? Yes, it is about self-help. But it's what we need to realize here is that while New Age is also self-help, not all self-help is necessarily New Age. We think that like we don't really think Boso's books are New Age wellness. What's particular about New Age wellness then is that it's usually focused on more spiritual life and stuff like relaxing yourself, stuff like, you know, you need to charge your crystals, you need to relax more, that's how you'll solve your, that's the solution, you need to light the candle, just like spiritual and this sort of like basically spiritual well-being most of the time. So that's what we actually think defines New Age wellness, not just that all self-help books and all life advice needs to be New Age wellness. So now that that's cleared up, let's get into the clashes. First on the individual impact. Here we have first self-actualization, second on health with rebirth. So on self-actualization from upside, our pushback here, very simple on a few points. First, that we believe that if you are in a bad life situation, that like you have a bad job, that you don't not enjoy your life, that I don't know, you cannot debate well or whatever, we believe that this won't be solved by you reading a nice book or whatever. It's usually caused by your surroundings, your environment, and you cannot change this by charging your chakras or relaxing more, right? Most of the time, this won't actually help you. Second, they're like, okay, even if the individual can somehow change himself and become a better person and magically change their bad circumstances, we don't believe that New Age wellness is the way to do this. Why? First of all, New Age wellness a lot of the times is bad advice. From outright scams, people like charging money for lies and disinformation, to just generally bad advice, right? Like, we don't believe that relaxing will help you actually achieve a better result and like improve your life. What we believe does actually make change is talking with your family, like having nice time with your friends, or maybe sometimes even working harder, right? And okay, even if we take like their best case and we say that okay, any and their definition that like any self-advice and any self-help needs to be New Age wellness, like Boso's book, okay, then we don't think this is the thing that helps you. Again, like we don't think reading Boso's book will necessarily make you a good debater. What will make you a good debater is having a great coach and being in a good school, right? This is what actually makes the difference, not reading some book, not having a guru tell you something. Then second, on health. So like what we've been telling you is that there are people who just cannot be helped by this alternative medicine, this like crystals and these new age things. So on two things in the health. First on like the people who aren't helped, which we think are the majority, and then on the people who are helped, which your site tries to claim. So people who aren't helped. Why do we believe this is likely? Again, because the advice is often very bad, and because it doesn't actually address the root of the issue. What New Age wellness does is it creates an entirely fictional cause of the issue you are facing and tries to solve that. What we are doing is solving the actual root of the issue on our side, right? Like if you are having a stressful time, you don't go touch your crystals. What you do is like talk about it with your friends and so on and so on. We believe that this is like typical things people did before New Age, right? Or alternatively, if you are having a bad time at work because your boss is being a jerk, you don't go, oh, my chakras must be misaligned. No, you go, oh, yeah, my boss is a jerk. And again, maybe like have a beer with your friends, have a nice time. Or if you need, then talk to a therapist, right? Because again, that's our alternative. You can, for example, like seek actual professional help, which doesn't happen on their side. And before the like response of, oh, but therapists are unaffordable. So are like New Age gurus, right? This is symmetric on both sides. We believe that you can, that like, if you get their sort of help, you would also like get our sort of help if New Age wasn't a thing. Okay, and then on the so like we proved to you that for the majority of people this doesn't help. Why does that matter? Because they don't seek out the actual help. They don't seek out the actual solutions that would help them. This means there's the like opportunity cost. They lose out. And if we prove that this is the majority of people, then we win this debate. But okay, even if we don't, what happens to the people who are somehow helped by New Age? Now, we believe that, okay, maybe there is some short-term benefit, that, okay, maybe if you relax or if the crystals make you feel better or something like that, then you can get some sort of benefit from it. The problem is that again, New Age wellness is inextricably tied with disinformation. And even if at the beginning the book you read isn't that deep into like alternative medicine and doesn't outright deny normal medicine, once you get some sort of help from it, once the placebo works, you are much more likely to then be integrated into the disinformation more and more and more. And what happens then is that the most vulnerable people, the ones who actually need the help, won't be getting it. Like, you won't get a cancer treatment because you believe that your crystals will heal you, and so on and so on. So this is like what happens to the people who are actually helped, is they go down the rabbit hole of New Age wellness. And those who need the help the most won't get it. Yeah?
Do you consider this debate to be retrospective? So you need to show us how New Age wellness has actively caused harm, not of the potential harm.
People have denied cancer treatment because they believe crystals will heal them. People have denied vaccinating themselves because they don't believe in Western medicine, because they believe in alternative medicine because of New Age. Like, we are being retrospective. Okay, now on societal impacts. So first, we believe that, again, once you get into New Age wellness, you start to believe that you stop believing like actual science and start believing disinformation. And what this means in like the societal impact is that, again, things like you don't get vaccinated doesn't only impact you, but it impacts wider society. It also impacts the pandemic then spread faster and stuff like that. Again, being retrospective as you wanted. And why does this matter? Because this is the widest impact, right? If we prove our societal impacts that on our side, the entirety of society is off much better because less disinformation, people want to seek out actual structural change rather than just individual change, then we prove much wider impact than on their individuals who like, okay, maybe if you have some people who like climbed the corporate ladder magically because they read some nice book, that doesn't matter as long as society doesn't change, as long as society is harmed by New Age wellness, then we still win this debate.
Okay, I thank you. And I call for the third opposition speaker to continue. Here.
Panel. The moment side proposition bang their entire case on the spiritual and non-scientific nature of these solutions, they clearly lose this bit. It seems that one side read the info slide with the panel and another side decide not to read the info slide because they decide to squirrel the debate to only one part, which is the fact that alternative medicines exist in our world. Forgetting the fact that in our world we have self-meditation books, we also have a self-improvement books, we also have meditation, also mindfulness, which helps the various individuals be able to reflect their mind. So therefore, it's very, very strategic not to be able to understand the info slide that actually exists. So now, panel, in this debate, first and second speakers in their speech show that there are other alternatives that help these individuals and have been scientifically proven. For example, the Atomic Habits by James Clear and also the Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. So now, panel, this debate is very, very simple for side opposition to win due to three things. I'm going to speak to you in our debate. So now, panel, I'm going to begin with our rebuttal. So now, clearly, it is very, very ridiculous for them to exist that alternative medicines like, first of all, they are very uncharitable in this debate, and they only assume that alternative medicine is super bad, which is very, very ridiculous because you tell that we also have licensed alternative practitioners that exist. Example, there's a course university called Pharmacopay where you learn other alternative medicines that actually exist. They fail to also understand this thing. So I tell that with the nature of these licenses of medicine, alternative medicine practitioners, they are allowed to be able to advertise and show steps and directions to use certain leaves. Example, take 2 noni leaves and both cure your stomach ache, and like when experiencing certain symptoms, which is the same as example, giving a patient paracetamol to go home and take 2 times daily. Therefore, we don't get what they are saying. We are trying to tell that it's even better in our world for people to resort to these means because on their side of the house, drug abuse is more likely to exist due to the fact that people are burning out. They are more incentivized to use more energy drinks, to use more caffeine, which is even inherently harmful to these kind of people, therefore even affecting productivity in the long run. We clearly prove to you. Before I move on, notice how they strategically avoid taking any of our cases because they don't have any response to give, and in fact, they don't even have any case to provide. So now, panel, they clearly also forget the fact that self-care books are books that are also written by doctors. We also have psychologists who write self-care books. We also have therapists who write self-care books, and like therefore, we also have people who have actually gone through these things themselves. Therefore, first-hand experience, and we find that these things are more effective because one, it is more proximate to them due to the similar situations that they have also gone through, and even if there are certain dubious books that exist, the most bought books and sought after books are the ones which are written by these kind of people, and we clearly showed you why like these things exist. Because first of all, human beings are rational, and since they are rational, they are more likely to invest their money in something which they believe is going to be more successful because they've actually seen people who are more successful in their certain ventures and fields. Therefore, they are more incentivized to buy books written by these certified psychologists, certified therapists, and certified people who have actually gone through these kind of experiences. And we have some, and like we clearly have Bosio, who actually clearly detailed all of his debating experience, and who was, in fact, who even ended up being a world finalist and a world champion.
But how do you prove that he's a part of New Age wellness culture? Like, not every self-improvement book is
Panel, a clear testament that they didn't read the info slide. We clearly showed you in this, like it is even clearly written in this, like in this info slide that we clearly have self-medication books, self-improvement books, and the book that Bosio wrote was a book which was to help people improve in debate. Therefore, clearly it qualifies in this debate. Thank you. Next time. Moving on, panel, we clearly proved to you why human beings are rational, and like we even have more incentives to prove. We tell that these books, like most of these bad, like super bad, like books and journals, actually banned in, like were actually banned in the status quo because like they challenge like the normal orthodox means to a very great extent. Therefore, that was a very fast fetch case, and therefore they don't have any case on that. So now, panel, we clearly tell you that people still seek professional help in our work in it. Because we are telling you that the most sought books are like the books written by these psychologists, certified psychologists, and people who are actually successful in their venture. We tell that these psychologists and therapists can easily lose their license for the promotion of very bad practices. And therefore, like their reputation too can be greatly hurt. Because if they promote certain very bad orthodoxies, their promotion is also going to be hurt. There is a less likelihood of them being promoted at work. Therefore, the certain incentive existing on their side to actually provide good, detailed, and scientifically proven information in these self-meditation and self-help books. So now, panel, we are only telling that, so like we are telling that in our world, we do not only prioritize the content in this book, because like there's a less likelihood of telling, like there's a less likelihood existence of these on these kind of doctors or psychologists or therapists who are actually experiencing firsthand to reject these verses and other things due to the fact that their promotion and their reputation is at stake. So now, panel, even if there are dubious people that exist, they were in the minority since most of them are like we're afraid of actually being caught. We clearly showed you how certain books were actually banned, status quo, and a whole lot, and they clearly don't engage on that. So now, panel, let's notice that because they don't have anything to say, and because all what we're saying is true, they fail to engage on our cases, and we clearly win this debate, even before I continue. So now, panel, moving on, they try to push the narrative that there's no self-improvement in our world, and we clearly gave like a lot of examples, including Bosio, Ben Carson, and a whole lot, and also clearly highlighted the importance of meditation, which they clearly fail to talk on. We clearly told that with meditation, people are able to come back from work, like relax, calm their nerves, and be able to reflect about the decisions that they took over that, like that they were able to take that day, and not resort to other bad things such as drug abuse of caffeine and other things taken.
Just because you maintain your reputation even though you lie doesn't mean you didn't lie, it just means your lie was believed, right? We believe them, but they are still lying, right?
These doctors, these therapists, these people who actually, like, people have a reputation to protect, therefore they are less likely to, like, in fact, this PI is not necessary because he wants me to repeat something that is, like, that has actually been proven, therefore your PI doesn't stand in this debate. Because we clearly tell you that they have a reputation to protect. Therefore, we clearly tell you that in our world there is mindfulness existing because now people are going to be able to better contribute to the society. We clearly spoke on community in our second speech and they also failed to engage on that. We clearly told you how community is able to be improved in our world and we gave examples. So we spoke of burnout. We told that in their world they prioritize working out like themselves to the greatest extent. Therefore, with this kind of thing, there's little care for themselves. So like, it reduces the sustainability in the society since people are easily susceptible to illnesses which affect people that, like, so once they're able to once they're susceptible to these certain kind of illnesses, it actually reduces productivity in the community, which affects everyone as a whole, which is inherently bad on their side of the world. And like we clearly told you that when their illness exists, there's a less likelihood of these people actually even getting the energy to go and work. Therefore, they actually inherently hurt the community more. So like on our side, we're able to balance the right choice, such as meditating after work to help one reflect about their decision and the way going forward, leading to a more sustainable society. So now it is clearly abstract that the narrative that they pushes for a more practical, Our narrative is a word that we're able to push for more practical and more reasonable means that have worked in the past for people. And we clearly gave examples, including Bosio. We also mentioned Ben Carson. And these people who are highly incentivized. We spoke on the rationality of human beings. Why these people are more incentivized to purchase books which have actually worked out for more people because they wouldn't like to waste their hard-earned money, and they clearly fail to engage on that. Secondly, we also told you how self-improvement isn't something that exists on their side, and they fail to clarify that on their side. Thirdly, we also spoke about the fact that alternative medicines, there's actually a course in medicine which is about alternative medicine, and people actually have licenses, and the various states actually permit these people to actually spread out certain things, which is example like telling your patient to go home and take 2 times a paracetamol twice daily, which they clearly also fail to engage. And our fourth response was on the fact that they avoid engaging with the possible means of self-improvement, like self-help books, which they clearly denied in this status quo. So now, panel, if not for anything, the fact that they fail to engage with our cases. Secondly, the fact that they decide to run and squirrel the debate clearly shows that they have lost this debate, where the side opposition wins this debate. Thank you.
I don't think we're back. Like all the opposition replies, we got for our bench here.
Panel, the verdict of today's debate is very, very simple. Side opposition takes today's debate. Now, before I move on into the clashes, let's be very charitable in today's debate and say that everything they claim on their side is true. This debate is retrospective, meaning that if they claim that all the things within New Age wellness have all these harms, one, people would have opted out a very, very long time ago because they would have noticed that there are so many harms associated with the whole narrative of New Age wellness and would have just simply discarded it or would have simply not engaged with it in the first place, right? So panel, let's assume that everything they say is true. Even if it is, panel, all the harms they claim on their side would have incentivized people to opt out in the first place, right? But moving on to the clashes. One, the first clash on which side of the house is better for individuals and their ability to self-actualize. Proposition brings to you the idea that there are a lot of fictional narratives that are pushed on our side of the house, making people believe that they can become something and they don't actually become it, right? But we explain to you how this narrative has pushed for people to engage with things like taking steps to ensure that they are becoming better than they were, ensuring that they are actually able to put in the work that will get them to the level of self-actualization that they want to achieve, right? Even though that exists in the status quo, the entire narrative, what the narrative has done, it has pushed people to actually push for better ways to make themselves better. They don't engage with this panel. But panel, they also bring you the idea that it's the whole concept of New Age wellness is solely based on the idea of weird spirituality and taking things like crystals in a bid to make your life better. Panel, even if that was the case, on both sides of the house, there is no possible way that somebody who is dying or somebody who is in so much pain would simply believe that crystals alone would be enough to cure them of their ailments, where they know that they can simply go to a clinic and get the medicine they need, or they can go to a hospital and get cured of their illness rather than looking at their crystals and holding it in order to make them feel better. We believe that that is very, very uncharitable on their side of the house. Right, but Papa, what did we bring you? We brought you that people are better able to self-actualize. We've said this in all three of our cases from the get-go. We showed you why self-actualization is important. One, because it ensures that people are able to reach their goals and ensures that they do not become a burden to society in the long run. Also ensuring that they contribute meaningfully to the societies they find themselves in. They try to make us engage on community. But we brought you that the units of communities are individuals. And if these individuals don't improve, they can't help the people within the society. They don't engage with this at all, right? But panel, also the second clash on which side of the house is better for people's health and people's mental wellness, right? So panel, we brought you on our side of the house that mental health exists through things like meditation, ensuring that people would be able to take care of their anxious thoughts and actually progress, ensuring that their anxious thoughts don't curtail their ability to get better. We told you that they'll be able to make better decisions because at the end of the day, they're able to reflect on their life choices, see where it went wrong, find out how they can get better, and actually implement it. They try to engage us on the idea that scientific experiences don't exist on our side. We brought you so many examples, but they claim so many things in today's debate, not providing analysis, not giving actual case studies. We try to let them engage with this by asking asking them to bring us real life situations, but they did not do this at all. We brought so many cases where we told you that psychologists, they are certified neurologists who are writing these books that are helping other people become better versions of themselves. And at the end of the day, this is better for individuals, this is better for the society at large, this is better for everybody. And because of this opposition wins today's debate, right? But at the end of the day, we also win today's debate because we are the side that ensures that there's actually better there's better incentives for people to believe in themselves. We also brought you how this reduces dependency on other people who believe that their success is contingent on others. And for all these reasons, we are proud to
Ladies and gentlemen, the side of opposition has been calling us out throughout the whole debate because we have not brought examples. Well, we believe that we brought more, and now I'm going to even show you the case study that you so much wanted. So look at Andrea Pramhas. She is like an Austrian famous businesswoman who had her own business, and she spoke publicly about what she was actually doing. So she was going to all of these trips where she was trying to do recovery, right? She had her own business, grew, etc. And then she found out that she had cancer. And you know what happened? She said that she's sad because all of that she did, she felt like it was for nothing. Because she was taking care so much of her wellness and spent so much money on it, it still did not help her in the end. She still is suffering with this. We don't know what the outcome is actually going to be in the end. Also, we were accused by opposition for not engaging with this info slide. But please note that they were actually the ones cherry-picking the example, because they just focused on those self-help books written by professionals. We show you a variety of examples from the info slide. There can be good self-help books, however, we feel like those are not the primary ones, and they did not respond to the other examples of, for example, alternative medicine, which we brought, and the crystals, which are written in the info slide. Okay, so now to the clash, which was there on self-actualization, right? So we told you that oftentimes in these books, there is a good chance that it's going to be lies because those things are not written by professionals. But even if, we believe that there is still a limited impact. Also, the side of opposition told us that, it's not, the one self-help book is not going to help their career and, make them climb the corporate ladder by, this huge jump and become CEO. It's going to push them in a small way. And we believe that this is a very marginal impact compared to the harm that is done on that person who fell for that guru who was actually, not doing anything good, that, spread lies, etc. That person is going to be harmed marginally more than the person that actually, maybe got a step ahead in their career, but we still believe that that is not going to be the case in most, because these books are not written by professionals mostly, even if they're going to be a minority. And as Op said in their second, these people are first, they're mostly talking from their own experience, as you yourself said. So it is basically focusing on a minority of cases, some specific solutions, which are likely not going to fit as many people. Okay, so we already told you that this is not going to be as impactful. So now to the disinformation, which was the main point. So we believe that it's still going, it is spread on in the status quo, right? What they said is that it's not spread, that people don't believe it. Well, we showed you examples where people actually do. We showed you examples when people fell for these gurus, when they actually paid money, because it is still prevalent in society where people buy these crystals. That is why these businesses and gurus and self-help books are actually flourishing. So we also showed you many of these examples, how these bad ideas are spread in the status quo, right, through those different media. And there is also greater harm on the people that would get harmed by this discrimination, because first of all, they spend a lot of money in it. Second of all, they believe lies, which give them false hope, but do not reap any benefits in the end, and it just messes up the whole perception of these things. We also showed you how this is likely, even if we accept prop side and they are going to first read the more mild self-help books, there's a good chance that they're going to spiral into the self-help thing where they don't really get help and they seek alternative ways in order to cure themselves, we are telling you that that is not the answer. We should like push for policies which are scientifically based, which are going to be pushed more on our side, where we focus on those like structural changes, structural impacts. That is why we believe that you should give the ballot to side pro.